Wichita Real Estate Market Insights. Doing this in December 2021, but I'm also going to be talking about what 2022 might look like. Before we get into all that, please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. If you would, please, really helps out the channel and grow the business, and I appreciate it. So without all that, I'm going to go ahead and get into it. I got a series of visuals that I'm going to show you and just kind of talk through. And let me just go ahead and get right into that. So let me share my screen real quick. So the first thing I want to talk about is what we're looking at for 2022. Right now the winter/holiday season's in effect. In Wichita specifically, it really quote unquote slows down. And what I mean by that is, it takes 30 to 60 days to close a loan in real estate. And so what we typically see is the least amount of closings in January because of what's going on in December. So like last year, there was 600 closings in January because there wasn't a lot of activity in December. And so that led to only 600 closings in January. Now in the peak of the season around June and July, there was 1,200 and 1,300 closings. So it's double than what's in January, but it's maybe not as high as you might think it is. So there's double as much closings and activity in the summer and the spring, but it's what happened in the previous months, not necessarily what happened at the time of those closings, because real estate's such a delayed situation. So you got to take that into account. And what's going on right now in the month of December for the Wichita real estate market is there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of preparation, there's a lot of planning that's going on right now. People that are buying and selling real estate right now, personal residential real estate, are doing it out of a need to situation, not necessarily a want to situation. The want to people are planning for January, February, March is what's going on. So whether that's you want to buy a house, you're getting all your ducks in a row with your credit score, your down payment money, that type of thing, ready for the right house to come on the market, January, February, March. Same thing with sellers. Sellers are getting their house fixed, getting it prepped, talking to realtors, evaluating what they could sell it for, what the plan is, where they'd go next, all those type of things for January, February, March. Because I guess I'm going to skip ahead to a different one. This visual right here helps you realize, when do most listings come on the market? It's not the busiest time of year that people think it is, April, May, June, July. It's actually this winter. It's January, February, March is when the most listings come on the market. And from that, then you have your 30, 60-day closings, longer sales cycles of everything. Because if you sell something in January, it's going to close in February. Sell something in February, it's going to close in March, maybe April. Sell something in March, it's going to close in April, maybe May. And this is where you see the most amount of listings start to come on the market, is actually over the winter months. And then you start to see April, May, that kind of thing. And it starts to peak in June, July. And then August is actually a really busy time too. As far as market-wide goes, in our business model, we always work to proactively go get the business. So we're never slow on anything, because we're always finding people who need to buy or sell, and then obviously lining up the want tos as well, the want to buys and sells. So that's where we're never quote unquote slow, because we proactively go get your business and go work to help service the business. Like for instance, I got several people that I'm talking to right now for next year. But one guy's living in Hawaii. He's military. He's going to be moving back to Wichita, but he's not looking until quarter three, till July, August, September. His daughter graduates in May. He's going to be here in June. So he's third quarter of next year, but I got him set up now on helping him out with selling his house in Hawaii, got him on property alerts, got him looking at houses now, but he's not going to buy until 7 months from now. So that's kind of the long-term mindset you got to have as a realtor, just to give you an insight into our industry. But back to the market insights, that gives you kind of more an understanding of how real estate really goes and where everything is at right now. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that visual out of the way. And speaking of 2022, what we're looking at there, mortgage rates are projected to rise, which I have a series of visuals that I'm going to show you here in a sec that really will help you see that point. And that affects your buyer's purchasing power. Basically, how much house can they purchase? So if you want to get that higher purchase price like you want, or if you want to get that higher sale price as a listing, you're going to need your buyer to be able to buy higher. And if the interest rates go up, that goes down. So hopefully that's making sense. There wasn't too many confusing things thrown at you there. The other thing that is a good situation about this is that home sales are projected to be strong and the home prices are forecasted to appreciate. Because here's the thing about this. We had a pandemic last year. That accelerated things. It made the prices go higher because of demand. And if you think your opportunity is gone and you missed your window, that's not the case, because there's still demand for houses, and all of the prices now are based on all of last year's prices. So if all of last year's prices saw higher prices, that's going to be the new norm of where things sell at. It's not going to dip back down. So if you're still thinking of selling your house and wanting to, cash in on this opportunity, but then you also have the attitude like, well, I don't know where I'm going to go next. We're about to see the full effect of returning back to what I'd call, quote unquote, a normal market of activity levels, but with higher prices on everything. So that helps a lot of people free up equity from their house, get to still take advantage of all the high prices from last year. You still can do that this year. It's not like that opportunity is gone for some reason. You just might have to have a little bit more competition, but the prices are set where the prices are at. So there's all that to be said. Let's go on to the next visual. One thing that we saw is that typically before 2008, people stayed in their house on average about 6 years. 2008 happened, people got a lot more shy. They got financially trapped in a lot of situations, and they started staying in their house a lot longer because they had to, or they wanted to because they're scared. One of two reasons there. So you have all this pent up seller demand. This is the bigger reason of why home prices appreciated so much. The pandemic just accelerated that. And that's why you start to see people starting to cash out here now. And I could see this number here going even lower because people are going to continue to cash out because of all this pent up seller demand. That means people need to sell their houses. They need to move on to the next phase in their life. And with the pandemic being more under control and starting to tone down and everything, I think people are going to feel more comfortable to actually move forward with moving their house and everything else. And this year, I think, is going to be another. I'm going to say bigger than last year. I'm no genie. You can rub my bald head for good luck, but it's not necessarily going to predict the future. That's a good one. I need to hold on to that one. I just made that up. And dang it, now I lost my train of thought. So I think there's going to be a good amount of people that are going to be bringing their houses to the market and selling for a strong price and going to the next place because it's starting to stabilize a little bit. And I think people are feeling confident to make those big life decisions to move elsewhere. That's enough of that visual. Let's go to the next one. The next one, this kind of gives you an idea whether you're a realtor or you're a buyer or seller, just how many people, the majority of sellers are planning to list the next 6 months. 65% have just listed or plan to list this winter, so that's a good amount. 93% have already taken steps towards listing their home, including working with an agent, fixing things up, starting to look at houses online, that kind of thing. And about 36% of research value their homes as in their neighborhood, as well as started making repairs or decluttering. This is where my construction background comes in helpful. I can come over and show you what you do need to fix, what you don't need to fix, about what the cost of things are going to be. That way you're not over fixing your house on everything. We do a lot of these planning consults and, kind of set a plan in place, show you how it works. And then when you say go, we go. We don't come over and pressure you into signing anything or anything like that. We just come over and give you options. And then we say, when would you like us to perform any of these? Let us know. We'll get all the paperwork in place and go from there. So anyway, that gives you an idea of kind of what sellers are thinking, whether realtor or a client. So here's all the visuals I got on interest rates. And this is why interest rates are so important, because it affects your buyer's purchasing power, which has to do with demand, of buyers being able to enter the market, what they can buy, how much they can buy, that kind of thing. And it's interesting to look at a historical perspective on mortgage rates. When you take a look at, some people trying to complain about a 3% or 3.25 or 3.5% interest rate and act like that's not low. I would encourage you to look at these graphs for the last 5 years where interest rates have been at. And you can kind of see how in 2020 we had a downward trend and it was kind of a race to the bottom, because Once you get to zero, like there's nowhere else you can go. So basically it's like, how much closer to zero do you think we can get when it comes to interest rates? And then if you look at 2021, you saw where they started to raise it back up and then it dipped down a little bit and now it's starting to go back up. And I could see this going up even higher, which honestly is good because we can't afford for this thing to go to zero. If it goes to zero, that literally means like our whole financial system is broken. So it can't go there. It's not possible. It won't. The only way that would happen is if the U.S. went out of business and the U.S. stopped being a country, which I don't see that happening. But anyway, it gives you a good perspective, you know, because I know so many people can think in the moment and not long term on all these things. How good we got it interest rate wise, because at the end of the day, like you still need to buy and sell houses for personal life reasons. We just take these mortgage rates, interest rates into consideration when it comes to that. So hopefully this visual helped you understand a little bit more. Here's, I guess, just another way saying kind of the same thing, where some different institutions are looking at what the interest rates are going to project to. Again, these are projections. Nobody has a crystal ball, but they do see it going up because we saw that trend where it went down over 2020 and then it started to go back up over 2021, and we expect that to continue to happen. So when we say like interest rates are rising, we're not just realtors that are just blowing smoke trying to say that to get you to like move forward. Like it's legit. Like hopefully you're seeing this of the rate actually rising. So anyway, there's that. Next one, I guess, just another depiction of kind of the same thing we're talking about. You know, rates were higher up in the 4.5%, 5%. They dropped down all the way to, I think one of the lowest was like 2.6, 2.4, somewhere in there. Just depends on the institution you're working with. But as you can see, they're starting to rise back up. We're not full of it. I want to show you these visuals so that you can see it. Same things we're looking at instead of just hearing it from me, because I know it's sometimes hard to believe what people say, but people believe what they see. And so this is where it's just, I'm showing you visually the same graphs we look at. So there's that visual. And this, I'd probably say is the biggest thing to go over, because a lot of people, especially in Wichita, we have such a conservative nature and we have a little bit of a cheap mindset, and they might be saying things like, oh, it's just so expensive. Prices are just so high. It's not a good time to buy a house. BS, because you buy a house from an investment financial side for the appreciation that goes with it. Make sure you're not putting yourself in a destitute financial situation. You can afford the monthly payment. You have enough equity. You're making smart financial moves. By no means am I saying stretch yourself or go above your means to buy a house. What I am showing you, though, is I say long-term, but man, this is only over 5 years. Over 5 years, you would be set to gain $111,000 from owning a home. Now, I know there's more maintenance. I know there's cost to doing those things, and you have to take more responsibility for home ownership because you own it, as opposed to, you know, if you're renting. But there's $111,000 at stake over the next 5 years, you know, on average. Obviously, everybody's situation is different, but this is making the point that these things appreciate. Houses appreciate. It's a smart move to buy a house, even if right now you're like, oh, well, the price is so high and this and that. And it's like, it's not that the price is high, it's that you can't afford it. Maybe you need to make more money. And I'm sorry to be so blunt about that, but that's probably the truth. And with the abundance of jobs, opportunities, everything else, we just got to adapt to the situations and find a way to win, essentially. So it's not necessarily that these things aren't attainable. We just have to maybe switch up the way we're looking at them and thinking about them. But buying a house in 2021 is still a solid move over a long-term financial picture. And ultimately, you kind of use these things more of like storage and savings accounts than you do necessarily like a true investment, I would say. Because most other investments, you can gain like 12 to 25%. This is a very conservative, safe investment in a house. So this just gives you an idea, though. If you're scared of buying a house or you're fearful or hesitant, the longer you wait, the more you're going to have to pay these higher prices instead of getting to gain in these higher prices. So hopefully that's helped you learn a little bit more about real estate. Hopefully I didn't go too long, and these visuals were helpful for you to understand exactly what we're talking about here. Appreciate you watching as always. If you need more direct consultations, go ahead and reply back to this email, shoot me a message on social, YouTube, my website, wherever you're seeing this. There's several ways to get a hold of me or talk to us, and hopefully talk to you soon, and appreciate you watching. See you later.